Hi, I am retired professional triathlete TJ Tollakson, CEO of Dimond Bikes, and today we're going to talk about how to pump up a tubeless tire without an air compressor.
Is that possible?
In other words, I'm just going to give you a bunch of tips and tricks on how to best install tubeless tires, because tubeless can be really great, but they can also be a huge pain because sometimes the tire just does not want to seat. So I've got a road tire here on a 28 millimeter wide hookless tubeless rim, and I'm going to attempt to put this on here with just this pump. So I'm going to start like this. I've got a tubeless valve, I've got it taped. I'm going to stick one side on. I'm going to install the second side. Don't be ashamed to use the jack, especially if there's no tube in there. You're not really hurting anything by using the back side of this tire lever to jack the tire. But the trick then becomes, how do you get the tire to seat? And you can see they did a really good job of installing this, that most of it is seated right now, but in particular, the part that for sure is seated is around where this valve is, right? So I'm just gonna open this, I'm gonna try to put some air in here, and we'll see what happens. If it's the right tire tube combination, tire rim combination, not tire tube.
Strike that, reverse it.
It may just naturally inflate and lock into place. You want to make sure whenever you're pumping up your tubeless tire that you put air in it before you put your sealant in. One of the big mistakes you can make is put sealant before your tire is seated, because then you can have a giant mess on your hands while you do this. Anybody ever done that before? Oh, I forgot to mention, we are taping live in front of a studio audience again. Yeah. Steve, you're not going to cheer? No. Oh, okay. But Steve made a mistake the other day by doing this. He put the sealant in first because he thought it was going to be a really quick, easy install, and then we had a giant mess and had to go through all these steps. So I'm going to go ahead and try to inflate this. And you can see right now I am failing to put air into this. It is not seating. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to use one of my tricks here.
This I have to see.
So I have this inner tube. Now I just have to try to take this nut off here after Steve tightened it with his teeth. All right, time out. Steve, get in here. That's why we keep them around. Bear claws. I was gonna have a hard time getting it out. So that is one of the tricky things, right? Is you wanna tighten this, but you also have to remember that you have to be able to get it off if you get a flat tire on the side of the road. So I'm gonna take that valve out, and now I'm just gonna stick this inner tube in here. So I will do this like regular. I will open that up. I'll put a tiny bit of air in it. All right, so I'm gonna just go around here. I'm gonna pop just one side out, and I'm gonna stick the entire tube in. So I'm gonna take one side of this tire out. That way, as I install the tube, removable valve core extender, that baby installed in there. It's a good thing we can fast forward through this part.
Did I miss something?
All right, so now we got a little air in this thing. We're gonna go ahead and pop this tube in. And again, when you do this, you wanna try to get the tire, the tube inserted in the rim before you actually put the tire on. So if you can see what I'm doing, the tube is inserted pretty inside the rim there first. I'm going to start at the valve, and then I'm going to work my way to the back side. And I'm going to use the tire jack just the same, except I've already got one side already on, right? So I only have to worry about the other side. And I can feel that the tube is pinching out of here with my hand. So I'm gonna have to double check this, but I'm also making sure I'm not pinching this tube as I'm installing it.
Good tip.
So then I go just on the side that I put on. I want to go take a peek around the entire thing, make sure that I'm not pinching the tube anywhere. And I can see a little bit of a pinch here. And I just want to use my fingers to work that in so I don't pinch the tube. Okay, all the way back to the valve where I started. And now we're going to put some air in this and we're going to pump it up so it actually, we want it to seat the tire. So now we should hear some pops now, so you can hear some light popping here. And we're going to pump this guy up to 80 psi. And we want to go slow when we pump this, unlike the compressor that goes fast, because we don't want to blow anything off here. But now we're at 80 psi and we're still not seated, so I got to raise it just a little bit more. And how can I tell I'm not seated? If you look right here on the tire, you can see that it's still not pushed all the way out like it is around here. So I'm going to keep putting a little more pressure in here, knowing that this tire will be able to take it. I don't want to blow it off the rim though.
We don't want that.
Stop there, see what we look like. Still not quite there. So I have one side. This side is completely seated, which was the side I wasn't. Oh, there we go. There we go. So now I'm fully popped out. I've got the tire on both sides, so it doesn't matter. Both sides are fully seated on this rim, and I've got a tube in here. Now, it is okay to run a tire like this, obviously not with 100 psi. And so I'm gonna let all this air out now, and then I'm going to take this valve out. And my goal is to keep the tire seated on one side. So we'll let all the air out.
You smell that?
And now, just the side closest to me, I want to break that seal. And I want to break it so I can get that tube out. Uh-oh. Broke it on both sides. We'll see how this goes now.
This is definitely going to end badly.
So I broke my seal on this, but it's still pretty good, so I'll see what happens when we pop this out. See how tight that tube is in there. Sorry, we still got to put the tire back in. Okay, now I'm going to cross my fingers and hope this works, right? And like magic, it actually works.
It does.
So now you can see, despite not having a complete seal on this yet, and I have no sealant, my tire is seated. So you can see I just did that without this. So now if I've got air pressure in here, once I add sealant to this, the tire will work and it will blow up. So I'll take this out real quick. I'll add a little bit of sealant and we'll pump it up for good. Dripping sealant on the ground. Oh, shoot. That's all right. Yes, it is December and Steve rode his Triumph motorcycle to work today. Tried to get him to ride his bike, but Vanna White's got nothing on this guy.
Oh, you did that very well.
All right, so here we go. I'm gonna let the air back out of this.
You wish that valve stem was tight right now.
There we go. There we go. Now the air is all gonna come out. Perfect, all right. Steve's gonna put this sealant in here, and you gotta remember, we want it at 3 o'clock/9 o'clock, wherever you're looking at it, because we don't want the sealant to leak out of the bottom or pour out of the top back down into the valve. So we want it at 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
All right.
All right, thanks, Steve. Have a nice motorcycle ride home. So we put about 40 milliliters, almost 1.5 ounces, 40 milliliters of sealant in the tire. That's going to give you a really nice seal on a 25 millimeter wide road tire. If I was doing a gravel tire at 42, I'd have gone a full syringe at 2 ounces or 60 milliliters. Now I am going to put this back on. Watch the tire roll, knock over my sealant, make a big mess. And there you have it. We just installed a tubeless tire and sealant with nothing but a floor pump.
It can't be.
The live studio audience goes crazy. Thanks, folks. Tune in next time if you have something else you want to see, some tech tips, some inside knowledge, some ninja skills. Let me know. We'll be here for you.